Welcome back, guys. Now let's continue with the topic of perfusion in lungs. Okay, already we have completed with the ventilation. Now let's continue with the perfusion. Now circulation in lung is highly compliant and low pressure circulation. Okay, it's highly compliant in nature. The blood vessels, the pulmonary blood vessels are highly compliant in nature, and the pulmonary circulation is a low pressure circulation. It's not something like a systemic circulation. Systemic circulation is having a blood pressures of 120 by 80 mmHg, systolic by diastolic blood pressures, but pulmonary circulation is a low pressure circulation. Okay, somewhere around 25 by 10 maximum. Okay, so during systole the pulmonary artery pressure will be somewhere around 25, and during diastole the pulmonary artery pressure will be somewhere around 10. So pulmonary circulation is a low pressure circulation, and the blood vessels are highly compliant blood vessels. You can easily stretch them. So what is the pulmonary circulation, guys? Pulmonary circulation. Now we have seen what is the minute ventilation. Minute ventilation is 6 liters. Okay, 6 liters of air is going into the respiratory system. Out of that 6 liters, 4 liters is the alveolar ventilation. So we know minute ventilation, alveolar ventilation. Now we are discussing about the topic of perfusion. So what is the pulmonary circulation? How much amount of blood is going to your lungs every minute? 5 liters. Simple, right? So 5 liters of blood is going to the lungs, getting oxygenated, and that 5 liters is again coming back to left side of the heart, and the same blood will go as cardiac output to all the body organs. So pulmonary circulation is how much? 5 liters. Okay, 5 liters per minute. Now after saying this, let's see some basic points which you need to know. Pulmonary arteries. Okay, these are the basic points. Pulmonary capillaries, and pulmonary veins. Now usually in the body, arteries are carrying the oxygenated blood and veins are carrying the deoxygenated blood. That's something totally opposite here. Pulmonary arteries are carrying deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood from right ventricle to lungs. Okay, from the right ventricle, pulmonary artery is carrying the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for the purpose of oxygenation. Now where oxygenation is happening? Oxygenation happens in pulmonary capillaries. Okay, in the pulmonary capillaries oxygenation is happening, and via pulmonary veins this oxygenated blood, okay, oxygenated blood is coming to the heart from the lungs to heart. Which heart? Left atria. Okay, so from the lungs the oxygenated blood will come to the left atria via the pulmonary veins. So what is the important point? Now the exception is here pulmonary arteries are carrying the deoxygenated blood, but pulmonary veins are carrying the oxygenated blood. But elsewhere in the body, everywhere in the body, veins will carry deoxygenated blood and arteries will carry oxygenated blood. This is exception which you need to. Now let's talk about blood flow in lungs. Guys, here I am showing you lung with the bronchi. Now here these bronchi are going to divide. Now important point here is, see, I am intentionally drawing the alveoli in the apex of the lung are bigger in size, but when you go to the middle lobe, the alveoli size are small, and in the base of the lung the alveoli are even smaller. Okay, small alveolus is there. So, in the apex of the lung, I am showing you alveoli with the bigger size, and the base in the middle lobes of the lung, the alveoli are of medium size, and in the base of the lung, the alveoli are very much smaller. Now, why we have to know this? It's because such a bigger alveoli in the apex of the lung. Now, what this alveoli will do? Will they compress the surrounding blood vessels or not? Yes, bigger alveoli, they will try to compress the blood vessels. So, if I show you the blood vessels in the apex of the lung, now in the apex of the lung, the blood vessels, see the blood vessels are very much smaller. Now, when you go to the middle lobes of the lung, the blood vessels are becoming little larger, and in the base of the lung, you can clearly see the alveolus is smaller and the blood vessels are bigger. So, with this, what we can say? We can say that in the apex of the lung, blood vessels are compressed and have lesser blood flow. And if I am talking about alveolus, in the apex of the lung, there are larger alveoli, and total opposite is in the base of the lung. Okay, in the base of the lung, blood vessels are larger. So, blood flow is more. And what about the alveoli? The alveoli are smaller. Okay, they are made like that. So, this is what is the difference in the blood flow in different regions of the lung. In the apex of the lung, the blood flow is lesser, and in the base of the lung, the blood flow is greater, and in the apex of the lung, the alveoli are larger, and in the base of the lung, alveoli are smaller. So, what is the importance? How they can affect the ventilation perfusion ratios, that we will discuss later. So, for now, I have shown you difference in the perfusion in different levels in the lung. After knowing this, let's talk about pulmonary circulation in the conditions of hypoxia. How pulmonary circulation is affected in the condition of hypoxia. Okay, how pulmonary circulation is going to be changed. For example, now in a systemic circulation, first let's talk about a systemic circulation. Now, whenever there is ischemia in this region, okay, whenever there is ischemia or whenever there is hypoxia in this region. Now, let's take about the hypoxia, not ischemia, hypoxia. This is the area where there is hypoxia. For example, now what happened to the surrounding blood vessels? See, this is the tissue which is deprived of oxygen. Now, this tissue might die. So, what happens to the surrounding blood vessels? Now, the surrounding blood vessels will dilate, will try to bring more and more blood flow to this region in order to keep this region alive. So, normally in systemic circulation, okay, in a systemic circulation, what will hypoxia do? Hypoxia, now it will cause vasodilation. Okay, normally there will be vasodilation because of hypoxia in a systemic circulation. But what is something different in pulmonary circulation? Now let's see here, guys. Imagine there was this one lung, simple lung. There is this one area of hypoxia. Okay, let me show in a different color. This is the area where there is hypoxia. Now, what happened to the blood vessels which are surrounding this region? The blood vessels surrounding this region, they will undergo vasoconstriction. The blood vessels will become very much narrow. The blood vessels are undergoing vasoconstriction. Why they are undergoing vasoconstriction? First of all, why blood is going to the lungs? Just tell me, guys. Blood is going to the lungs for the purpose of oxygenation. this area there is hypoxia. In this area there is hypoxia. First of all, oxygen itself is not there. When oxygen itself is not there, what is the purpose of blood going to that region? There is no need of blood to go to that region. Why? Because there is no oxygen in that region itself. So what happens? The pulmonary circulation will undergo vasoconstriction. So all that blood which was supposed to go to this region will be diverted to other regions. At least now this blood will go to other healthy regions and it will get oxygenated. Now just think logically. For example, if this blood vessels, if they undergo dilation, what will happen? If they undergo dilation, blood is going to that region. First of all, the blood going here, the blood going is a deoxygenated blood. It's not at all having oxygen. Now, what is the purpose of taking this deoxygenated blood to an area where there is hypoxia? It's totally illogical, right? Already the blood is deoxygenated blood. Now, this deoxygenated blood, if it goes to an area of hypoxia, what is the use? No use. So, pulmonary blood vessels will undergo vasoconstriction. Very, very important point. So, take a note here. Note, hypoxia, it will cause what? It will cause pulmonary blood vessels to undergo vasoconstriction. Okay, there will be pulmonary vasoconstriction will be seen. Okay, important point. Now, how this pulmonary vasoconstriction is mediated? To understand that, let me show you here pulmonary blood vessels. I am showing you this is a pulmonary blood vessel or the pulmonary capillary. Now, we all know that these pulmonary blood vessels are surrounded by smooth muscles or not? Yes. I am just showing you this pink color cell is a smooth muscle cell. Normally, on these smooth muscle cells, on the surface of the smooth muscle cells, there are these channels which are called as potassium channels. Now we all know inside the cell potassium is more. Inside the cell potassium is more. So normally potassium is kept on leaking out. Potassium is leaking out of the cell. So if potassium is leaking out of the cell, what happens to the resting membrane potential? So the resting membrane potential is all the time negative inside the cells, which means now these cells are hyperpolarized. They are negative. They are not activated. So if the smooth muscle cell is inactive, is it undergoing any constriction or contraction? It's not undergoing any contraction. Why? Because all the time potassium is leaking out of the cell. Leakage of the positive ions will cause hyperpolarization or inactivation of this smooth muscle cell around the blood vessel. Now, what hypoxia will do? Hypoxia will cause blockage or inhibit these channels. So, these channels are blocked. So, can I call these channels as hypoxia sensitive potassium channels or oxygen sensitive potassium channels? Yes, guys, we have discussed about ATP sensitive potassium channels in the beta cells of pancreas, which help in release of insulin. Just like that, here are hypoxia sensitive or oxygen sensitive potassium channels. Now whenever there is hypoxic condition, they will come and inhibit these channels. Now what's happening? Potassium is not going out. Potassium starts to accumulate inside the cell. When this extra potassium, whenever it's accumulating inside the cell, positive ions are accumulating, that will cause depolarization. So let's write it down here one by one. Whenever there is hypoxia, there is accumulation of potassium ions. Now whenever there is accumulation of potassium ions, that will cause depolarization of smooth muscle cell around blood vessels. Which blood vessels? Pulmonary blood vessels. Now that will cause, whenever these smooth muscle cells are depolarized, they are activated, immediately calcium influx will happen. Okay, so whenever the smooth muscle cell is depolarized, now on the surface of these smooth muscle cells are these calcium channels which are all the time closed. But whenever there is a depolarization, the depolarization will cause influx of calcium. Okay, calcium is going to come into the cell. So we all know calcium is a smooth muscle contractant. Now the smooth muscles are contracted. When the smooth muscles around a blood vessel, whenever they are contracted, that will cause vasoconstriction. So because of the calcium influx, that will cause vasoconstriction. So this is how during hypoxia there will be constriction of pulmonary vasculature. Okay guys, we have also discussed about the perfusion in the lungs. Okay, ventilation in the lungs is completed, perfusion in the lungs is completed. Now in the next video, let's discuss about ventilation perfusion mismatch. Okay, ventilation perfusion mismatches and ventilation perfusion ratios will be discussed in the next topic.